Thank you to my kind audience. We are now all set to do a report launch by the Deloitte and the MAPEC India team on powering consumption growth, India's home and household market. To do the honors, may I have the pleasure and privilege of inviting the Deloitte team on stage. May I request for the kind presence of Mr. Anand Ramanathan, Mr. Praveen Govindu, Mr. Arvinder Ray, Ms. Smita Murarka, and may I also request Mau Chakrabarti to please join us here on stage, as very soon we're going to do the unveiling. Taking this segment forward, may I also have the pleasure of inviting Ms. Ashna Jemanasharan back on stage. May I also welcome Ms. Reema Punya to please be a part of the report launching ceremony right here on stage. Once again, looking forward to bringing to you some amazing thoughts. A lot of hard work has gone in behind the report creation, and each of you will get your hands on it as well. We're about to unveil the powering consumption growth, India's home and household market, and also going to get an overview of the report by Mr. Praveen Govindu. But before we do that, may I please request my very kind guests on the extreme right of the hall to take a seat, please. May I please request Ms. Pushpa Bector to join us on stage. May I also welcome Mr. Rajneesh Mahajan to be a part of the report launch. May I welcome Mr. Harsh Bansal to please join us. Let's welcome Mr. Abhishek Bansal to be a part of the report unveiling ceremony right here. Like we mentioned, we're talking about powering consumption growth, India's home and household market right here. The Deloitte team, the MAPEC India team, our thought leaders from the industry are here, and it's a privilege that you could be a part of this momentous occasion right here. So requesting all of you all to please join us on stage for the unveiling. May I request the team to please send some more copies? All set for our photo opportunity right here. My audience, let's hear it up for all our leaders here on stage as we bring to you the report by Deloitte on powering consumption growth, India's home and household market. Whoever would like to take a copy of the report, you're more than welcome to connect with the team, and we'll be happy to share your personal copies with y'all. For all my guests at the back end, I'd like to request you to please take a seat. Very soon, we're going to get to know an overview of the report right here. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a pleasure. May I please request Mr. Praveen Govindu, partner, Deloitte India, to join us and continue with his presence here on stage. A big thank you to Team Deloitte. Sir, everybody in the audience would love to know an overview of how is it that they can get more and delve deeper. So may I request you to do the honors, please.
Thank you so much. Very good afternoon. I hope I'm audible at the back. So before I get into the presentation around this report that we've just launched, a couple of statistics, right, and which are very interesting, possibly for all the people who are here. And any guesses, on this, right? What do you think is the total savings that the Indians do as a percentage of GDP? What is the percentage of savings? Any guesses? 30%, one answer. Any other guesses? Percentage of savings as a percentage of GDP. And it's a very interesting thing and has a huge impact on both real estate and everything that we're talking here. So 30% is one answer. I'll just give you the answer. The average has been about 20% in the last decade. And that's pretty, that's pretty high, right? I'm sure you're aware of the savings rate in some of the other global economies. Compared to that, India is high. Now, the other interesting thing is, in the last 3 to 4 years, particularly post-COVID, this is actually reduced. So the savings rate approximately in the 23, 24 is about 18%. So what does that imply? That implies there's a lot of consumption demand for all the products, all real estate. There's a huge consumption demand, right? So savings rate has come down to about 18% now. So Indians are actually spending more. So that's probably what you would have all seen in terms of the growth in top line across the last couple of years, right? And one last interesting thing before I talk about what the report has to say, out of that 18% savings, there was only one thing which actually grew, right? So then the savings ratio of real estate savings within the 18% is 60%. And that actually grew compared to the last decade. So I think there's a twin benefit you're talking. While the savings are coming down, good for the other sector, but the savings are increasing in real estate. So both housing demand is going up. I think the esteemed panel did speak about that. And at the same time, consumption demand is going up, right? So I think for everybody here, these 2 points are good news. So now quickly getting into the report itself. So essentially, see, this is a report around home and household sector itself in the country. These are certain certain projections of the market. Broadly, we believe the market is about $138 billion in India today, expected to go up to close to $237 billion in the next 6, 7 years, right, by 2030. And there is again a further breakup of this by each of those categories. So, of course, durables and appliances is the largest here. Furniture, furnishings comes as number two, then bath, kitchen fittings, home care, kitchenware, lighting, interior services, home safety. But if you see, the interesting part is segments like furniture, furnishings, which are a lot more unorganized, right? You can see that they're expected to grow high. Even bath, kitchen fittings as a category is expected to grow up. Even interior services, right? So there's a service component. As real estate grows, there's a huge opportunity for services. And that also we can see that while it's on a small base, expected to almost double in the next 5, 6 years. And I think the factors for driving growth, nothing new, whether it is disposable incomes, real estate growth itself is powering some of this. An interesting thing is, again, particularly post-COVID, consumers are looking at making up their homes. The purchase frequencies have gone up. Premiumization as a trend is increasing. We've seen probably the highest amount of sales in luxury real estate in the last few years. Role of influencers also is shaping this demand. They are a lot more active, so tapping into some of that may be critical. And of course, government policies, whether it is PMAY or some of those are also really driving this growth, right? This is again a survey that we have undertaken with the end consumers to understand what's kind of changing, right, in terms of their behavior. So just a snapshot, the report actually has a lot more detail. We've asked a question, why are you looking at buying a new house, right? And since this kind of is the starting point for the entire sector, so 58% of the respondents are actually first-time buyers, so which is good. But at the same time, 17% of them are also looking at reinvesting, right? It's a second home, and 25% are actually investing. So that's again powering a lot of our growth. The other interesting trend that we see here, or observation that comes out, is frequency of renovation is highest for a bedroom or a living room, right? So if you see, almost between 2 to 5 years, people want to renovate or make up their living room, bedroom once again. So again, a lot of secondary demand on the back of that. And we even asked a question around what could be the renovation budgets itself, and you would see, upwards anything between 1 to 3 lakhs is the renovation budget, and if a lot of it is going to living rooms and bedrooms, you'd actually see a lot of consumption for furniture, furnishings, and which also you could see in the previous slide, the growth in those subsectors is very high. Then we also asked a few questions around purchase and post-purchase services sought. Again, in a purchase scenario, again, not a surprise, aspects around seamless delivery of the products, right? Whatever they're buying, that's very critical. Followed by after-sale service and loyalty. Loyalty is an important insight, because now consumers also somewhere feel, while the frequency of purchase of some of these products is not very high, it's not like an FMCG, right, that I'm able to use my loyalty points very often. But in spite of that, loyalty appears to be something that the consumers are expecting. So again, an input to a lot of brands, retail, real estate, take to ponder on. And on a post-purchase, again, no surprises. Installation services and repair and maintenance are expected to be, high on the mind. Then one of the other questions we also asked is in terms of channel preference. We all know that increasingly this is kind of changing. There are quick commerce channels which are emerging of late. Whether some of those are applicable, do we actually see? We are already starting to see categories like appliances and all getting listed on quick commerce as a channel. So this is a breakup of how we see the preference of channel purchase across each of the various categories. I would not get into the details of each of them, but couple of useful insights. You can see like decor and consumer durables. Uh, the the online channel is also becoming mainstream channel in addition to the other offline channels. So again, focus on this channel would be useful. The other important trend I can also see here is the contribution of EBOs, so exclusive outlets, right? That's also kind of pretty high for further adding to the multi-category retail formats. Yeah, so beyond this, the report also talks about emerging technology-led use cases, right? And what, because this is again, there's a lot of Gen AI that we hear about. So there are these 4 areas around which the report talks about some of the key technology trends. Under Gen AI, what kind of use cases could be relevant for various categories, whether it is personalized recommendations, marketing-related use cases, training-related use cases, content, a lot of those could be potential use cases from a Gen AI standpoint. There's again a lot of focus around smart appliances, whether it is connected appliances, smart features. Again, all links up, with smart cities as a solution. So that's again becoming relevant across categories like consumer durables. Use cases around mixed reality, whether it is AR, VR, 3D. Again, in the space of services, how could you actually visualize and use cases around that? And then analytics, how can analytics be leveraged to improve forecasting, improve the entire supply chain planning, understand consumer sentiment better. So those are the other trends that we can see which technology can support. So broadly, in terms of the way forward, at least the report predicts that the primary themes that are expected to shape the sector going forward, premiumization as a trend is something that we have all seen. Having said that, the value segment is also now picking up. So it is important for us to realize the fact that we need to focus on both premium and value segments. The other thing is redefining business models. I spoke about quick commerce. So how do we look at modifying the business models, looking at the operating models to take advantage of these emerging channels will be important, and that will continue to shape going forward. Then the other thing is investment in tech. There's a lot, in terms of the ROI generation of technology itself, right? A lot of technology is available, but how do we ensure that we get the right technology and which also has the right ROI? That will be the other thing which will shape the sector. And of course, the last important thing is influencers. increasingly we are seeing this influencer channel is becoming more organized. So how do we also embrace them into the into our ways of working, whether use of leverage technology or even otherwise? But they'll continue to play a large and important role, right? So these are the 3 or 4 themes which we believe, will shape the sector as we go forward. So that's what the report covers. Happy to answer any questions, and happy to share this report as well with all of you. So any questions? Otherwise, that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much.
much.